kids these days, whether they have a dream or not. And I was saying that instant gratification of playing on the video game.
Yeah.
And, you know.
They haven't always had the video games, have they?
Yeah, but these days they have more of those disruptions and you hit the button and get the result or something.
Yeah.
So that conditioned them to be living in such a way so that they don't have a time to wander around and look at the sky, the clouds, and think of
They've got all the time in the bloody world, though. You know. It's when they get older they haven't got time because they're busy rearing children or...
Well, that's true too. That itself is a problem.
They've got a lot of time and they waste it. Like you said, youth is a wonderful thing, but it's a shame it's wasted on the young.
Right.
Mm.
But that even if that's the case, still the younger people have more disruption because of the TVs and the internet and the video games and so forth. So they don't have a space, the quiet time to look up the sky, listen, smell the roads, whatever.
Smell the roses.
And dream about the foreign land or the adventures and so forth, but being occupied to what they are doing. So that's the problem that limit your vision and scope of your view and all that stuff. And you're saying that the girls tend to have much better understanding of what's coming and how to prepare, and so you said like...
I don't know why it is, but that's a fact.
And you're saying that the kids are just waiting at the bus station, the head down, you know, not, and the girls are looking up and more perky. And
girls,
yeah.
The girls look as if they're looking forward to the next move. The
next challenge, right.
Yeah.
So,
and the boys aren't. They think, why am I doing this? What's all this about? I don't want it to be part of this. I have to do it, but I'm not happy.
So we talked to they're like cows and sheep in the courtyard, and they're forced to do something, and it may be better for them not to go to school and explore or cut the branches or whatever the situation.
Go to sea and
work, do something.
Mm.
So that's one big question there, but then I was pointing that the bliss, the buzz, we talked about that when you have a dream, we have
that was Martin Luther King had the dream.
That's right. And that's the whole point of this conversation, of having a dream and not to be distracted to the small things and the things that kind of block your view and stuff like that.
I don't know whether when you're only 17, whether you've got much of an idea of some have and some haven't,
You mean the dream or something like that?
Some children, you can't generalise either, because some children know exactly what they want to do. They want to be a nuclear physicist or something, or a dentist or an artist. It doesn't matter. If they know what they want to do, they'll go.
Right. But the bottom line of this conversation is to follow the bliss, the feeling, the buzz and all that kind of thing. And the earlier you have it, you have a better chance of getting there.
So where do you get the buzz from?
Well, that's
riding the skateboard along the footpath without knocking anyone over or something?
Yeah, that's the limited version of the buzz.
Yeah.
And if they don't have any choice...
Well, they'd get just as good a buzz out of that as they would out of...
anything.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, whether we can listen to the buzz, the heart, the feeling, and when we get that, That is the big question, isn't it?
Well, not everyone gets the buzz from the same thing, but because we're older, we can see that the thing, the occupation or the exercises that are going to benefit someone in the long run, whereas if you're watching video games or
Right.
or skateboarding down the middle of the street, it's not going to really get you anywhere.
Well, that's what I mentioned yesterday about like at the school. Why don't we have a session where the people from different industry and the background come and talk about their life experience and what happened and what mistakes that they have made and when they found the bugs and what they want to do and how they overcome the hurdles and do it. You know, those are the inspiration of some of the ideas that, you know, education, not just academic part of it, but more pragmatic life experience. So this, to me, the buzz is one. Then they connect to the willingness of doing something beyond the difficulty to stick with it and go through it, right? So the story is this Viktor Frankl was saved because he had this broom and bucket and cleaned things and out of the, and people died and he survived. He's got the psychology background, so he basically looked at the people who survived and who didn't. And the one who survived had a dream, like they may have a wife, and picture the dream of getting together. Even if many people thought it's not going to happen and all that. So like a mission or the dream or something far beyond the confinement of the mind that you can picture, it gave this guy a sense of meaning in why he's there.
Yes.
So that's the difference, he said. You know, it's not just that random they get killed, but those who could survive had something different. And I thought that was interesting.
Well, they'd have to have something different, all right, because there would have been hundreds of doctors and lawyers and all teachers, all sorts of scientists, everybody that got killed.
Right.
Yeah. They targeted them, didn't they? They were first on the list.
Right. But some give up, some they didn't. And one of the story was also related to their experience. Like, again, like you were talking about, no boots and so forth. Barefoot and cold and nothing to wear and not much food to eat. They go out and dig in the hole, whatever, and look at the sun coming up. And they thought that was the most beautiful scenery in the whole life.
Yeah, and they mightn't see it again.
But there's a sense of what I was talking about, the bliss and the appreciation. And that, to me, is a unique sensation as a human being to feel it in spite of all the difficulties. And that's the discussion I was talking about. You're talking about the boys heading down.
Yeah.
Well, look at what is the dream that there is.
Yeah, well, they were dreaming all right, but they weren't dreaming about anything. They were dreaming about nothing.
Well, so it's almost like beyond the logic, right? It's beyond your imagination, but you still have a dream. And that makes a huge difference. You know, the beautiful scenery, even if you don't have boots and so forth, they are impressed that it's almost like you're feeling like meeting with God or whatever the expression.
Yeah.
So that gives them the hope and the appreciation of being alive. That kept them going, right? That make them to be creative, to come up with a solution like bucket and the broom and coming out, and so they can live longer because they don't give up.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot about this unknown thing, and that's the part that the religion got into some tricky thing that you want to avoid. But I think in your life too, you listened to your heart and felt like this is the way to go, and you feel good about it and have that kind of sensation. Your body feels your buzz that we are talking about. And that's the point of the guy, head
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
doesn't have any buzz, right? The young kid.
No buzz.
So
They might get a buzz when they go home and they play with the
yeah,
video
and a
game.
small bit of buzz of
Yeah,
just doing something.
Yeah. Maybe they get a buzz when they go surfboarding or skiing.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's what they're thinking about.
But why do they get turned off instead of keep dreaming and moving forward? That's my question.
Yeah.
I mean, what make them to stop it? Just like the difference in the concentration
Because
camp.
for some reason they get anti-establishment. They think that the schoolmaster is pushing them, or they don't like him. They don't want to learn. They don't.
But to me, that's
They
okay.
know it all already.
To me, that's okay so far as they come up with their own version of the dream. But they don't.
Yeah.
The dream is too small.
Yeah.
It's the texting and the complaining and the violence and the drug and the alcohol and the head down. So dream is, no, how can we do it? How can we get out of here?
Yeah. And as soon as
Right.
I'm going to go and play tennis. Yeah.
That makes me very interested. Why some people have the motivation and will and curiosity and
It just gets back to that quotation. Youth is a wonderful thing, but it's pity it's wasted on the young.
right. So is that the puzzle that nobody knows what triggers someone to have the dream and never stop and keep challenging and moving forward?
I suppose everyone has a dream, though. There are different
Size.
levels of dreams,
Right.
aren't there?
Yeah.
Someone dreams about being a world-class physician or something.
Like Obama.
Or someone else wants to be a...
So my conclusion is the role model. If you have a role model that has a dream and energy and
that often happens, doesn't it?
yeah, because that is
That'd be the best.
bleeding the success.
Yeah.
You just influences other people around you.
I had a role model. I was a small boy out in the country.
Right?
At the country school, I was the biggest boy, and
You are.
only 4 or 5 of us there anyway.
Yep.
There weren't many.
Yep.
And we had good teachers, and they stayed a long time, but it wasn't, because of the small number,
Right?
there were limitations. But it was just before the war,
Yeah.
and there was a man working on the farm next door who he'd enlisted in the Air Force, and he was well educated,
Right.
and he knew a lot about algebra, and I was going to go to
Meet him.
high school the
Yeah.
next year,
Yeah.
and he took me under his wing
Yeah.
and started teaching me algebra,
Yeah.
so that when I went to high school, I had a head start on all the other fellas because they hadn't had any algebra,
Yeah.
and I was away laughing. But he was my hero, that fella, because he was going to be an airman, and he was swatting all this stuff up so that he could pass his exams to get into the Air Force, and he wanted to be a pilot.
Ah, he himself was doing that.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
And he was teaching me, and it was helping him, I suppose.
Oh,
a
that's
bit.
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and that was marvellous.
So you felt not just the technique, but his willingness and
Yeah.
dream,
Yeah,
and you felt it.
yeah.
But this guy had the light in his eye.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the huge difference if you have those guys around you or not. Yeah, because if everyone was head down,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you have gone like this, you look like a stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would think so.
What are you thinking about or something? Yeah. I don't know.
Something inspired. That's the role model is one. Of course, you can read a book about it or whatever.
It's not the same. If you had a role model, a football player or whatever,
Yeah,
a good tennis player,
it doesn't matter.
swimmer,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or a comedian. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, with the interest and
Yeah, yeah.
living.
yeah,
Yeah,
with a spark.
right. Exactly. So is that the conclusion of it?
Well, you know, that's a hell of a good way to start, isn't it?
Yeah, because we're talking about the starting point. How to initiate? That's the big question.
But there aren't enough role models, I suppose, to go round, are there? A role model really needs to be it needs to be one-on-one almost, doesn't it?
I'm not sure because the internet, you can watch them if you're lucky enough to stumble into one of those examples.